You did it, G. That was your first and hopefully last nab and grab. They're unharmed and in one piece, I see. I gather from the cursing and yelling that you didn't gag them before you put the bag over their head. God forbid we have to do this again, but if we do, you should invest in gags or some sort of knockout gas. Make a note of that. Alright. I get that this is very shocking for you, but I'd really appreciate it if you could calm down with the insults. Criminals have feelings too, you know. Believe me, I have nothing against you, personally, and we're going to try to make this as painless as... You're not the governor's kid. Giacomo, this is not the governor's kid we were trying to ransom. Who the fuck is this? Excuse me just a second, doll. This is the picture I showed you from last week's newspaper. Look at it next to this civilian you've got tangled up in our business. They look nothing alike. How did you possibly mix them up? Bud, what's the point of us giving you a health plan, including vision, if you're not going to use it? You're taking the day and going to the optometrist. Boss's orders, before your nearsightedness gets you and me killed. Alright. How are we going to take care of you? No, we're not going to kill you. I don't know what sort of Godfather-esque dark romance stuff you've been reading or watching, but organized crime is a fairly tidy process nowadays. Making people sleep with the fishes is costly and messy. Me and mine almost exclusively work in money laundering and counterfeiting. This, admittedly, is a bit of a special case. See, our local governor, running for re-election based on his staunch Christian family values. Yes, the one with the ill-fitting suits. I'm always saying that. The man does not know how to dress. You know what he does know how to? Woo his way into sweet, unsuspecting women's hearts and beds without telling them he's married. Sweet, unsuspecting women like my widowed auntie Nina, who thought she was getting a second chance at love, and got nothing but an NDA and a frankly insulting amount of hush money. I fucking know, right? So, you see why this is a special case. Why we had to make this personal, and see how he likes people he loves not being treated like they deserve. Rather, we tried to. Where did we go wrong there, by the way? Giacomo, where were you that you managed to pick up a stray instead of doing your job? That's right. That schmuck at an event at the library. Shaking hands, kissing babies, probably being a worse role model and reader than the drag queens he hates. I thought it was close to the public. That's why we planned the kidnapping then. Are you on his campaign team, doll? Because, I hate to break it to you, your boss is a fucking asshole. You're a librarian? You kidnapped a librarian. What are you going to do next? Roll a nurse and kick us down to a lower circle of hellfire and brimstone? Do me a favor and go out and start the car. Please. So we can try to get some good karma back. Sorry about all this. Let's get you untied. Out of this stinking warehouse and back home. Of course we're going to take you home, doll. Safe and sound. You've suffered enough because of me and my cousin out there. And keeping you quiet the old-fashioned way wouldn't benefit us at all. Like I said, I like my crimes like I like my money. Untraceable and unbloodied. Hand to God. Besides, I'm a mobster, not a monster. Libraries are an important part of the community, and I appreciate people like you who keep them running as best as you can. Might even want to stop by and say hello, if that's alright with you. Because I think you're interesting. I'll grant you it's partly because I'd rather you not snitch to the feds, but mostly because I'd like to see you again. In the past 2 hours, you've had a sack thrown over your head, been manhandled into a van, strapped to a chair, and left to stew in fear in a cold, dank warehouse of God knows what. In those 2 hours, you haven't lost your cool or nerve even once. You didn't cry, beg, or scream. You cursed me out, called me words I won't repeat in your polite company, and did a real number on my associate, if him limping out of here is any indicator. I can't say I meet someone like you often, even in my line of work. You're giving me, a seasoned criminal, terms and conditions? I like you. All right, doll, I'll bite. I'm invested. What must I do if I want to come see you at work? No more illegal activities on library grounds. Oh, that's a fair enough ask. What's the second thing? It goes without saying that I'll be the one driving you home. I love G, I do, but I wouldn't trust him to navigate us out of a paper bag at this point. I wasn't aware shelving books required so much standing and reading. Is this how my tax dollars are being used? Oh, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to startle you while you were busy, but I thought it'd look worse if I stood here any longer without saying anything. I have to say, it's no surprise we nabbed you at work, if that's how intense you get when you read. I could have opened fire, and you wouldn't have bat a pretty eye. Not that I'd ever, of course. Yes, no illegal activities, Giacomo, or yelling, or I'm out. Understood. Speaking of, G has asked me to mention he'd like to come by and apologize for himself sometime if you'd allow. He's embarrassed, and would like to show you his new glasses and bring you some sort of restitution. He's been considering something like flowers or an edible arrangement, but I think you could really leverage a generous donation to the library out of him if you make him wait for it. That's not the only reason I'm here. Maybe I want to see my favorite librarian. Maybe I want to partake in normal, upstanding citizen activities like paying overdue book fees, reading. Sure I am. In fact, maybe I've been looking for the book you're about to shelve. May I? I've been wanting something to really jump into on a relaxing day with a blanket and coffee, and what better chance to start reading? Nodded by the alpha. You can't tell me to quiet down. You're laughing too. Don't shush me, you hypocrite. I walked right into that, I'll admit. Here, take your smut back. I won't be checking that out today. The library's so much less stuffy and uptight than I'd imagined. I thought you might be shushing people constantly to maintain the peace and sanctity of the space, but it's... Actually, so we can focus on the Omegaverse. Yes, you are. Doll, you literally just shushed me. I'm not sure I believe you, honestly. What would you do all day if not shushing people and being the object of schoolboy fantasies? And getting hauled into court without your permission. Sorry about that again, by the way. Hey, now, I'm not keeping you from doing your job. I wouldn't dream of it. I'm fairly sure if I did anything of the sort, you'd go after me and my ankles with your book cart. And I'm not confident that's a fight I'd win. I'm just curious, observing, making conversation, watching a master at work. You know what? You're right. I should be working. In fact, I should check in with my manager and give him a call. Excuse me a second. Hey, boss, do I have anything pressing on the agenda? No, in fact, take the whole day for yourself, my beloved and perfect employee. You've earned it. Well, if you say so, who might argue? I'll see you tomorrow by the water cooler then. It would seem I'm free for the day. When you're as good as I am, you get to be the boss young. Also, my mom wanted to retire young alongside my Auntie Nina. Who was I to deny the woman who raised me? She's doing good. Thank you for asking. I won't say what we may or may not have done to cheer her up, but I'm pleased to say it's worked and raised her spirits. I will let you know it's involved sending her and my mom on a girls' trip to Vegas. I'll let her know you asked after her when they get back. She'll be so charmed. Oh, it's Caesar's Entertainment that she'll worry about not making their bottom line, not me. Despite her terrible instincts with men, my auntie is a monster at roulette, and my mom can count cards better than a machine. Granted, they'd probably spend all their winnings on Processo and scantily clad men, but at the very worst, they'll break even. If not, I'll figure it out. I'll pivot. Maybe I'll consider a career change and become a librarian. Would you put in a good word for me, doll? What? I love books and giving back to my community. Isn't that what's important? What else could I need? Okay, I hear what you're saying about a master's degree in library science, but what if instead I brought my winning smile? I could be your personality hire. You don't sound convinced. Maybe you could tell me more about the job requirements later, over lunch. Because Giacomo's not the only one who'd like to apologize, and in my opinion, there's no gesture quite as appropriate, heartfelt, and sincere as a home-cooked meal. Doll, if I wanted to keep you quiet or take you out on anything but a date, this is not how I'd go about it. Why would I escort you home and meet you publicly at your place of work if I wanted you to disappear? Not to mention poison, really? It's an ineffectual, unreliable weapon, so slow-acting and difficult to dose properly. Besides, most poisons are horribly bitter and would ruin what I cooked. I would never disrespect food that way. I'd say it is, given I'm the one who made it, but you'll have to find out for yourself. When's your lunch break? Oh no, I'll have to wait an hour? What will I do to keep myself entertained amongst this vast collection of all human knowledge and imagination? Do what you gotta do. I've got a cooler, patience, and a fictional alpha to get intimately acquainted with. I can wait. And obviously, 10-year-olds don't understand the technicalities of counterfeiting a crime. We just knew. Hey, this is money, we have a lot of it, so no one will care if we take some to the arcade. I was at ED Arcade. I love the game, but she, cruel mistress, did not love me. I need to practice. So G and I, we see a stack of fresh, crisp fives. We just grab a few off the top, not knowing those were the rejects from the printer. Misprints. It looked like someone's punk fan art of Abraham Lincoln, like someone gave him neck tattoos and blue hair. Except, if an artist actually did that, it would have still been more believable than the money we tried to put in the token machine. Oh, God. Wouldn't that have been amazing? No, they didn't work, and they were so obviously fakes, they really considered calling the police on a couple of preteens, if not for the fact I called our moms, who convinced the owners we were the victims here. Something about us selling our skateboards to a con man and not knowing any better. You bet they bought it. My ma's a great liar. It doesn't hurt that G and I have known how to cry on cue since we could practically walk. In a heartbeat. Especially when I have a whole summer of punishment memories to draw on. Because we took money without asking and almost blew the whole operation, which, I have to be real with you, was the main reason we were in trouble. We had to spend the rest of the summer working in my uncle's restaurant, learning to appreciate the value of money. Which is particularly ironic, when any of us remember the restaurant was initially a laundering front. The only reason there's real cooks and work to be done in the back of the house is because Ma doesn't let things go half-assed. That place became the talk of the town, 1 month under her thumb. And that's where we spent hot weeks peeling lemons, chopping onions, eating pasta, all like. That's where I learned how to cook. Why do you think my food's good enough to go pro? That's sweet, but those never into the cards for me. Ma wanted to retire, and this is the sort of business you like to keep in the family. Besides, cooking becomes so much less exciting when you have to do it for money. I still refuse to make tortellini after that summer. No. This is tortelloni. Much bigger, much less fuzzy, much more satisfying to eat. Tortellini is not so much a food as an exercise in failure. If you'd like to try it, I'm sure I could be tempted or persuaded, bribed, perhaps. What do I want? I'll have to consider that. I'm sure I could figure something out. Well, I certainly don't want you to be late, that's for sure. I will not be responsible for you going missing yet again. May I help you up? I can see why you like your job so much. This courtyard is a lovely place to eat and read and people watch. You know, I watched a little kid take their first steps the other day. I work. I have my laptop. I leave after we have lunch. I work nights. I do more than cook and look at your pretty self. I think about your aforementioned pretty self, of course, and educate myself on the finer points of art forgery, which is a new market I'm thinking of getting into. Very interesting. Lots of potential for international operations, networking, and the like. I keep busy, believe me. For you, doll, never. I could make time in any and all of my nights for you. Especially tonight's, if you want. Consider yourself penciled in the calendar for a date. Did you have anything planned in particular, or shall I pick? There's a place or two I've been dying to take you. Places to make food I'm not as good at. Of course. I've been wanting to take you out for a proper date night since I laid my eyes on you, if I'm being honest. Because I kidnapped you on accident and by proxy, but still found you at the place you work and implied I'd like you to not talk to the police while also flirting with you and bringing you lunch pretty much every day for the past 3 weeks. If we were to take that next step, if I were to pursue you more seriously than I already was, I'd want it to be because you felt comfortable and safe enough to initiate more. And, while I'm being honest, I want to be sure you're not afraid of me. That you like me. Oh, God. Do I really? How could you not tell me I've had frosting on my face this whole time? Silly, they call me. A legion of hardened criminals at my beck and call, and they call me silly. Did I get it? What about now? Here? Sure. Please. Thank you. Sorry. I've made you late. Again. The next time I make lunch, I'll have to include something extra for your coworkers. Cookies or something. Correction, I don't have to, but I'd like to. I should. And the last thing I want now that I've finally got you to go out with me is to make your friends think badly of me. That is, if I can trust you to hoard the cookies to yourself. I'll see you tonight. Good. I'll come by and pick you up. Do you want to plan the nights, or should I? Do you like surprises? Duly noted. And I was thinking something classic and traditional to offset our, I'd say untraditional meeting. Dinner? And a movie? Good. I'll send along the menu of a place I have in mind. Let me know if it sounds good so I can call and make sure a reservation is in order. Or pick another. We'll pick the movie after? I'll be counting the minutes. And working. I'm gonna hustle along that forgery I was telling you about and get that meeting done. I'm not letting you call me a slacker again. Oh, it's no trouble. Believe me, doll. I'm the boss. So if you say we're going on a date tonight, I'm going to make that happen and make it good. Look forward to it. I know I am.